Welcome to Dawn Patrol. Today, Divine Simplicity.
Sounds complicated.
No, it's crazy simple. Watch. Woo! Too simple. Spinning. Ah!
Crash incoming.
Oof. Divine Simplicity hurts.
All right, good morning. Yeah, I was thinking about this topic after at the end of Chad's what was it? He had like a 15-minute thing, and so it was like a little too much to get into. But I started thinking about this and trying to be able to do this, and I realized there's just no way I can do justice to this topic even this in the morning. Plus, it's a pretty heavy and weighty topic. But the original idea was to go over divine simplicity and living in that tension. There's some differences between the East and the West and how they see it, and their concerns. But the reason why I was originally thought about it was because I know we have a lot of people, that are in the corner that have come from a variety of different backgrounds. So it was kind of like, how do I do justice and not caricature these things. So I think that the easiest way just is to explain the differences, and then I'm not going to get into it too much because it's too heavy and it's fascinating to go over it and learn about it and all the different church fathers that had different perspectives on it. And for the most part, this divine simplicity had been held to for a good while, but there were these distinctions. I tried to pull up. I don't think I can do it. It wasn't loading. I was going to show you a little picture that kind of visually gives you a better representation as to what it is, but for whatever the reason, I know I can do this. Let me do it like this. Maybe I can share the screen. But yeah, it's a bit difficult to explain. Morning, Olson. Morning, Claire, it looks like, too. All right, let's see if I can share this. Okay. Share screen. This is an image. It doesn't look like it'll let me. All right, let's try it. There we go. Let's try this. All right. All right, so this is basically the distinctions. Let me read this. You've got Eastern versus Western perspective on this. This was from Redeemed Zoomer. He did a good job at breaking it down as far as the differences and why they have concerns about it. So the distinction is the essence versus energy, and how that they're separate but not separate. So if you look on the left side, it talks about God's essence. He's all powerful, all knowing, unchanging, all loving. And then you have essence, attributes, and energies. What a thing is, right? Ontologically, things about a thing, the attributes, and then the energies are ways God works. And they would put them in the same bubble. In the Eastern view, they have the essence and energy distinction. And it says here, the Eastern Orthodoxies believe that God's attributes and energies from God distinct from God's essence itself. We cannot understand God's essence. We can only perceive his energies. Thus, the East has been more skeptical of academic theology, whereas on the Western view, Catholics and Protestants, they traditionally have held the belief that God's essence is identical to his attributes. This means we can understand God's essence. Therefore, the West has been supportive of academic theology. That kind of, I still think that's a bit of a caricature, but it helps from a picture standpoint to see how there's perception of it. One of the, I think it was Gregory. Um, I'm going to get his name wrong. Let me see if I can find that. Gregory, let me get this down. Yeah, I'm not going to find it, but anyway. So anyway, yeah, it's a bit of heavy topic. Um, it kind of talks about through prayer and meditation that an achievable, to my understanding, again, I'm not, when it comes to this, I'm not very well versed in it, so I'm just being honest about it. But like Palamas, I think is his name. He had said, Gregory Palamas said, we know that prayer in it of itself cannot save us, but carrying it out before God can. For when the Lord's eyes are upon us, he sanctifies us, as the sun warms everything upon which it shines. I would say, I think that's the reason why it's difficult for me on the topic, just because I've never come from that background or that tradition. There is some, I do think there's some special things when it comes to, hey Matt, when it comes to learning about it and learning about how some of these monks were diligent in prayer. I'm not a really big fan of rote prayer, like repetition of prayer. But I believe that there's probably people that do it and they genuinely do it with, I would say, integrity and all that. I just have, it's hard for me on the seeking these things, like seeking God's beatific light and being able to experience that. It seems like it's experiential chasing, kind of. But again, I don't want to, like I said, I'm not going to get too deep in this. I just thought it was an interesting topic because Chad had brought up some things that made me think of it. And I do think that by God, like when we talk about God is love, God is light, I think it's a powerful thing to think about, because he's not made of the same thing that we are. It's like this, it's like to try to use human terms to understand the one that created everything. And so it's really hard to segregate that in our mind, because we're, you know, we're human, you know, and this being that created us is so much larger and outside the scope of anything that we have now. But now the issue is that people run into the thing, well, oh, then you can't, you know, like this personal thing, it kind of goes against having the ability. I don't think so. I think it helps me approach him through fear and trembling and understanding how heavy he is. And just what the idea behind it, to me is just like, you know, mind blowing, to just think about him as the all creator, and that he's, yeah, I'm in awe of him and thinking of him in this way. But again, it's just different. I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about, but it's really weighty for the morning. So anyway, with that, I just dropped the link. I figured it would have been fun to talk about it, but it's pretty heavy. I liked what Chad did the other day on the fourth step. I thought that was cool. He was trying to kind of clarify some things, and it is funny that I think in programs I've been part of, I had it's kind of like people that were recovering alcoholics would say, doesn't matter how they get there as long as they get there. So it wasn't like the AA was the only way, but this is just what worked for us, right? So, likewise, when I was doing my fourth step, my sponsor and the way he took me through it was a real special process for me, and I really appreciated the way that he helped me see things that were not my part, and I use that term, my part, but it's like, what was I responsible for? And that's what Chad was clarifying. But yeah, we have terms that kind of evolved. And so like when people say, what is your part? What is my part? Keep my side of the street clean, just worry about my side of the street, things like these little slogans and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of cool, that he was kind of explaining that. But yeah, it's kind of evolved a little bit. But yeah, so, things that have happened, things that I had resentments about, realizing that I contributed to a lot of it, and that I participated actively in those events with those people. So for me, that was a real aha moment in my sobriety and in my doing my steps. So it was cool. Yeah, it was crazy with doing that mini estuary yesterday. It was kind of not really an estuary, kind of, we kind of Paul kind of did a quick video and then opened it up, and some people came in, and I had thought about I was listening to a lot of the negative view, like the doomer view of the future. And I think it was really hard for me to sit there and listen to these, the perspective, and I even said, I don't know if I put, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Hold on. I said, I wanted to ask what we seem to think that is going to collapse. Is it economic collapse? Is it religious institutions that are collapsing? Is it public morality? It seemed ludicrous to me. I think that we're being set up and forced to beg the government to take care of the problem. They already have a solution, and they're prepping us for what it is. I think it's funny because, and I mentioned this in another comment about how I think it's ironic how this particular administration has kind of touched every branch almost of Christendom. You have the leader who is we would call him a pagan, right? You have the vice president who's a Catholic. You have a Department of War who's I think because of the church he goes to, I think he's Baptist, but Protestant, right? You have the head of his spiritual, I don't know, whatever they call Paula White, is Pentecostal. It's almost like they're trying to cover all the bases. And first you'd think, okay, maybe they're just covering all these bases because they want to be appealing to the masses and cover all the categories, right? But I don't know. I mean, I don't think people really realize what's going to happen with this whole AI stuff, and as businesses realize the efficiency of it, because the number one cost for a business is labor. And I think, and I've said this in my thing, I said, whether it's, I see Christians, they're extraordinarily adaptive, whether it's 10 stories in the earth in a cave or standing on top of a government, we always seem to find a way. I'm like, God must know what he's doing, so the idea that I'm worried about what's going to happen, I'm not worried, but I do think about my nephew and niece and how hard it's going to be for them to find a job, and that they're going to have to be exceptionally adaptable. I mean, it used to be that you could study a career, you could work hard at it, and eventually, it would pay off for you. But now I don't know how long that would be the case. So, like, you spend your time and energy into learning something and being proud of that, right? And getting good at that. And then all of a sudden, okay, it's no longer available. I think of anesthesiologists. That was an easy one to use as an example. It's like now you have anesthesiology who used to be one per operation, but now you can have one anesthesiologist over 10 operations with AI running the process. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that when you spend a long time preparing and building your life around a career, and that becomes the thing because you want security and you want to be comfortable, and then it's gone, it probably will rock the world. But the idea that Christians aren't going to be able to handle this, or that it's going to be such a doomer situation, I think it's just kind of crazy to me. Um, doesn't matter, to me, but that's just my 2 cents on that. But it was interesting just listening to it. Was hard because you have a lot of the more talkative people in the TLC in that particular stream. So I didn't have time to get in it at the end there. But it seemed like they were lining up with Paul Renee's uh, thought process, or they were just maybe sympathetic to how he felt about it. Um, yeah, Alex Luna seemed pretty. He seemed, I don't know, maybe a little more balanced on it, but I don't know. I don't freak out about the future. I'm not really. I'm not really. I do think that they'll probably force us into a situation where some type of a universal basic income or something like that would be the only option. It's like kind of like everybody's kind of desperate enough to where the government has to show up and do what they have to do. But yeah, um, I don't know. So that would be a whole nother level of the meaning crisis because I mean, if people don't have a career, they seem to put all their cards into what they do for a living, and and I think that would be probably if my career. I had a friend of mine say that you're the only person I know that doesn't have a normal job, and it was kind of a shot because I never had a career. I never did. I never got into a field where I built a career out of this field, and most of them did. And I understood what he meant, but in a way, it's been kind of a blessing because I've seen a lot of things, done a lot of things, met a lot of different people. That if I had a career and it was the same field and that's all I did for my entire life, I would have never had those experiences. Um, so I don't know. I think in a way, it's a lot of the things that have been negatives in my life have actually been secretly blessings. And now that I've gotten some distance looking back on them, even though I wasn't like most people with a career or whatever, it was pretty awesome to be able to appreciate God's path for me, and however it looks. Um, hey, let's see, what does she say? Let's see. I'll put her comment up. I started thinking of it more like the collapse of the psyche of man in the sense in the stance of meaning crisis, like the calling attention to the splitting of the atom, an internal war we share. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like every generation sees massive disruption, and their response, or the response and the things they would tell the public to do, gave an illusion of protection. It's kind of like when we learned how to build a bomb, right? Um, they would have drills for kids and to go underneath their desk, and which is the stupidest thing in the world, because that type of bomb going under your desk isn't going to mean a whole lot. But it was just like, that's just kind of the insanity of prepping for something, or giving the sense of everything will be fine. And in this case, it doesn't seem like, it seems like everybody is like, no, it's not going to be fine. they're not even they're not even postulating a go under your desk scenario. It's like everybody's the doom and gloom, and it's like this is going to be a nightmare. And no, I mean, I do think that it's going to be disruptive, and I think that um, how we use AI is going to be probably a pretty big way that it's it's going to change things. Um, I thought it was interesting talking to Ups about AI, and like the proper usage of it, especially being a Christian. You know, um, I think that if we get sucked into things that, or we just take things face value, kind of like how somebody will watch a YouTube and it's a particular guy they like or whatever, and maybe he's trustworthy, but he has a take and it's a wrong take, and then you parrot that take, or you'll watch these debates. You know, somebody's arguing uh, from a reformed view versus a orthodox view versus a Catholic view or whatever, and you know, people will be convinced because of the particular debate. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if a debate convinces you of something, then you can easily be talked out of it through a debate. So I don't know. I just think that, I mean, I feel like I'm just rambling. Anybody want to come on? It's up there. So, but yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't fear the future, and I'm not worried about it. And um, I do believe that, you know, God's got it, you know, and I think all of us believe that. I don't, it's just crazy. Um, yeah, exactly. It's like, it's so dumb. Duck and cover. That's what it was called. I forgot about that. It's so hysterical. Oh, brother. Don't fear the Reaper, right? Right, Olson? Uh, yeah. So, I mean, all of us that are Christians or claim to be Christians believe in the end, God wins. So, you know, I'm not going to get into who thinks what they think, and, you know, oh, you know, you're not this, you're not that, you know, and, you know, whatever, and how traditions are evolving into a more ecumenical place or whatever, and it's fine, whatever. But the future is just going to be what it is. So, you know, I'm not a doomer when it comes to all that stuff. Anyway, yeah, so that was pretty cool. I am excited to. I think Ups was talking about when he comes back, kind of debriefing the art conference when he goes, and I hope PBK actually, you know, has like whatever rando whatever with him. But I'm not so sure. He hasn't officially made this a thing, but I'm not so sure that um, he's officially going to be no longer in the TLC. He may not be, but he wanted to do a lot of different channel interviews or whatever, or, talk to different people at different channels as it led up to Arc. And then when he came back, he'd debrief Arc. But he may still stick around. So it's not like this whole thing is all for sure. But hey, Olson. So I think that's pretty cool. But I would like to hear what they think, what they're saying and what they think the future, what their plan is for the future. And and I described it as, or it is described as bottom up, whereas like Davos and the WEF is more like top down. So you have all these elites, showing up and, postulating the world's problems and the solutions or whatever. And it's almost like just a show. And then you have Arc, who apparently, seems to think that that they can maybe give some good ideas from the bottom. Good morning, Scott. But yeah, it's like I don't know. I think it's cool. It's a lot better than TED Talk.
I don't feel like it's very bottom-ish-y, like if it was bottom up, you'd be like, they would drive down London and pick up 2 random people coming out of a pub, and then they'd go down to Miami and pick up a guy, go to New York, go to Appalachia, someone's, trying to work on their 5th vehicle in their front yard, that would be bottom up.
Yeah. No, the irony is that, like, especially in this space, right, in the TLC, people like Jordan Peterson and Peugeot and all these guys, have kind of gotten, I guess, upper level status in the way that we tend to think, right? And so I think I can see how it doesn't seem bottom up, but most people don't really care about these guys. I mean, in the world, you know what I mean? I mean, we like them, a lot of them, because of some of the interesting things they say, their perspectives, where they're coming from. But when it comes to like the president of the United States, or, the prime minister of a country, or, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I can see, yeah, they're not the pinnacles of power, but they're definitely not the bottom.
Yeah, it's a good point, though. Yeah, they definitely seemed like they were swimming in our bottom waters, though, for a while, didn't they? Kind of had that feeling. But now everybody's got their own little thing they're doing,
I think maybe Pagero, maybe a little bit. Definitely, PVK doing his, his church isn't. Yeah, he's. I'd say PVK is still in touch with the bottom. Taking, helping his friends.
He reminds me of the man on the street interviewing. Like he just reports all this kookiness. You know what I mean? It's like yeah, Peugeot. Like the cost of these conferences was cracking me up. Like the amount of money that some of this stuff was costing. Like what was Vervaeke? Didn't he have like some like ridiculous cost for what he's
like
doing too?
$4,000 or something.
Yeah.
I can pay. I can get a new heater for that.
Yeah.
That'll last me 10 years. Keep me nice and toasty.
Goldsby, she's funny. She goes, "If you're not first, you're last. If you're not on top, you're the bottom." See, that's what I'm saying.
What that was Ricky Bobby. What else did he say? Like,
this is funny. C-Do, I don't know who that is. See, this is why I love Olson. He keeps it real when others are deflecting and denialism. It's a good one.
Uh, maybe
You
I'm
and
just in
Scott, you
denial.
and Scott were the best yesterday. I was just like, it's like this is why I love doing the morning shows with you guys. It's awesome.
Yeah, when you were on the one with all the people yesterday with PBK,
Yeah,
I I kept being like, wait, what's Brett have to say? What's Garrett have to say? They didn't
dude.
let
When
you guys
they
talk at all.
Dude, when they get going, man. I mean, it was funny too because I sat there and I said, "Well, I need to have low expectations about this, just because I knew, like, first of all, it takes. I thought I'd take a while to get things out verbally, but Michael has to really unpack it. So when Satori's going, he's going, and so every time I think there's an opportunity, and then Paul Renee would be like, "Boom," and he's going, and I'm like, oh my god. And then Alex Luna, he's another one, right? Oh my gosh, I'm like, this is like not the stream for me to be able to get anything out. Ugh.
No,
And
that
I,
was
I kept I kept looking at the clock, and I'm going, okay, I got like 5 more minutes before I have to go back to work.
I kept
And then
yeah, I was like I kept waiting. I'm like, he's gonna have to go back to work. To go back to work. Oh,
uh,
I was like, well.
well, then
I,
as soon as I logged out, as I'm walking in, I'm texting my comments in the video because he was shutting it down. So I listened to the last bit of that, and then I started texting my comments, and I said, "Okay, whatever. This is how I feel." And it wasn't even a very exhaustive explanation, but the point was I was kind of trying to I wanted to smack people out of the doomer thing. I
mhm.
felt I uh, we've
Yeah.
always had doomers though.
Well, I mean, it's like, it goes back to that thing you read, on my stream the other day, where it's like everything, like life and the economy and governments, like these things all go in cycles. But to sit there and try to like worry about it and like and think that your worry is gonna change it is like,
But we're just Western men sticking our head in the sand, Olson.
yeah,
We're
yeah, I'll take that. Like it's 100% true because if 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 I really, you know, like I could radically live my life in a different way if I wanted to try to climb the levers of power in society with the feeling that I could do something different. But I don't feel like that's my call. I don't feel like that's, what I'm here on earth to do right now. And so it's like they may call it your head's in the sand. My head's not in the sand. I see it. I'm just choosing to still eat the grass that's around me and, herd my little ostrich family in the migratory patterns that we've held for generations.
listen. I'm with Goldsby on this. I mean, I don't the difference between a doomer and somebody pointing out reality. I think that I'm I'm all about stating what's obvious, right? Like AI and all that stuff. But like, do you remember? I don't know if you're old enough. Do you remember I think it was like a Saturday Night Live cartoon, or maybe I don't know, not cartoon, but it was like they were talking about doom. We're doomed, doomed. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that one.
Oh my god! And like the whole thing was, they kept every time somebody said doomed, they accentuated doomed, doomed. We're doomed, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But that's how it feels. It feels like
Yeah.
this joke of you know everybody running around freaking out. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that we're so adaptive. The idea that the economic sphere is just going to collapse. And I'm not disputing there aren't problems. I'm not disputing things aren't, there won't be difficulties. I'm not disputing, but I also know that I'm living here in the West, and I do realize that I have the luxury of even talking about these things in these terms, right? Whereas it's not as simple as I'm necessarily portraying it, but I just think that, I don't know. I just trust God in it. I mean, that just is the way it is. I don't know how. Every time I think that my life or things are spiraling out of control, the idea that he's going to use this in a way that I can't even conceive, and then the way it all connects is just hysterical. It's like, oh, I see what you did there. You're a pretty funny guy. Let's see here.
Yeah. Goldsby needs to hop on. She can make breakfast. We can have like a breakfast making party.
I don't have any music to play.
Oh,
like I'm not good like that. I mean, I could pluck the lyre over here for a little bit, but I'm not that good at it.
That would be amazing. Even if you're not good at it, just a good old lyre pluck.
Actually, let me tell you something.
Should do that right now.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, Goldsby. He is a savant. He has Paul Rene has a very good brain, and it's very interesting to hear his perspectives on things. So I don't want to make it out to be like he's a complete whack job or anything. That's not my intent. He brings up really good points, but it's coming from a frame that is so you have to understand his formation, and any people that are in the TLC kind of have a better idea. They know, we've heard him on randos, and I've heard him on streams before. So he has a certain bent that is just how he is, which is cool. We all have our own thing. What's up, Scott? Scott the Doomer.
Yeah,
he's a prepper.
I went hard down that road.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of
water. It was
Y2K?
Water. Yes, I remember Y2K. I also grew up in Florida, where we have hurricanes every cyclical year. I mean, they don't all hit us, but no, man. I thought Paul made really good points. I believe in all. I think all that stuff's going to happen. We live in a just-in-time. Brett, you're in Florida. You see what happens to the grocery stores whenever there's a thing. There's only about 3 days of food in those grocery
you're
stores.
Right. No, you're right. The public definitely has a reaction to, and you get to see the selfishness of it all. Like when COVID and then we ran out of toilet paper. It's like, are you serious, man? Like, what is wrong with you people? Like hoarding toilet paper? But I mean, that's the thing.
I could think of worse things to hoard.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Although of all the paper products, it's probably the most useless paper product.
That's fair. That's a fair point. You know what you can do? You know what you can do if you take a piece of paper and you crumple it, open it up, crumple it, open it up, crumple it, open it up, it'll get soft. I've done that before. Yeah, I've done that on a job site.
Yeah, break the fibers. Listen, I this is the equation. This is how I would equate it. I would say that we're kidding around about toilet paper, but I think that the way Christians operate primarily, especially in community, we come together and say, hey, why don't we make some bidets?
I was gonna.
I mean, I'm just saying though, we come up with these ideas on not being part of the mob mentality, not getting sucked into it. And when you are in a community, right? Collectively, you come up with some really cool solutions together, right, for the body. And I think that's awesome. What's Matt say here?
Real quick on the bidet thing. One of my proudest social media posts I've ever done is when COVID hit and everybody was panicking buying toilet paper. We were still in Europe at the time, and the bathroom we were renting from happened to have a bidet in it, and so I took a picture of the bidet and I commented, while you guys in America are panicking over toilet paper, I'm gonna be sitting pretty.
Only Olsen.
I've never used one. I've had several opportunities, but they scare me.
Yeah, I've never used
it. Scared. I don't know. Scared is the word.
It scares me. Like,
yeah,
is the pressure going to be right? How's it dry off? Whose towel do you use? I don't know.
What was that movie? What was that movie?
It's like the three seashells.
That's
Total Recall.
What movie was that?
Total Recall.
Total Recall.
He doesn't know how to use the three shells.
No, it was Demolition Man.
Demolition Man, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. He doesn't
was
know
that
how to
at least the same actors?
I don't understand.
So. Total Recall was Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. This was Stallone and
okay.
What was her name?
I forget.
Yeah, that was that. So am I mixing this up then? Is this the one where they had the VR headsets for doing the deed?
Having sex, yeah. Yeah, they put VR headsets on.
I must have watched the TV version. I don't remember that part.
No, I mean they didn't show anything. It was,
Yeah. They put the headset on and there were like these weird scenes, and then he threw it off and he's like, let's do it the old fashioned way.
Apparently.
And she goes, fluid exchange. Ew.
Goldsby's trying to tell you it'll change your life, Scott, the bidet.
So that's what I've been told. I heard it's much more sanitary, and you can buy them. They're just like toilet seat.
Matt C's down with a sponge on a stick.
I'd probably have to use sponge. I'd probably have to use a scrubby.
You need some bleach next to that.
Such a great picture in the morning. And you know what bothered me though about that in the movie? It's like, dude, at the end of the movie, they still didn't tell you how the three seashells work. They just left it.
That's what
They left the intention. See, we're living
in the intention. Nice.
Yeah, I think Grim Grizz would be upset that I'm not living up to the title. Living Intention.
Yeah,
what was the title? What was the title I put? Living
Intention. You're probably pointing to Seeking Genuine, right? Because that was my take from her conversations the last couple.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean though. Like everybody had been talking about it. I thought it was, I thought that was pretty cool to
what?
Okay.
What is the tension?
Well,
I don't know where isn't
there tension? Here, I'll show you where tension is. Right here.
Oh.
Miss Paul.
Hi guys.
Miss Claire. Hello.
Hello.
How are you this morning?
I just rushed in. Not.
Do you
Sorry?
Have you ever used a bidet?
Yeah. Do you use a bidet?
The what?
A bidet.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Europe and England, they use it, right?
I haven't seen one in the UK, but yeah, it's a kind of French thing, right? Which people who don't know wash their feet in. That's a joke, right? You're supposed to wash your bottom on it, but people who don't know what they're for wash their feet in it.
Oh.
Or some people think it's a water fountain.
Yes, oh dear. Yes, so perhaps it's a particularly European thing that people who kind of want to ape European ways, they think a bidet is a thing to have in your bathroom. So
it's funny because
but not very common. I just don't see them in the UK. No. But
Ace Hardware. We have a lot of people that come in and they're holding like these hoses, this crap they bought online. Like, I'm having a problem connecting this to my water supply for my toilet. Can you help me out? And it's some like Europe, like it's like a metric fitting, and they're trying to convert it to, an American supply line and everything. And I'm just like, oh man, it's like, but I mean, somebody in the
I guess you have adapters these days.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, but you got to order those things online. They're not just, you know what I mean? Like you ordered your cheap whatever bidet that you found online, and then you didn't order an adapter that connects to a more standard American thread. But it is pretty funny.
Are there American bidet makers?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Although I didn't catch the rest of your conversation, I did quickly go through the beginning, which is about Eastern and Western Christianity. And
I was
surprised you didn't mention the egalitarian.
Well, because the topic was specifically.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can now.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just showing the difference.
I can now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just showing the difference of with absolute divine. They call it absolute divine simplicity. I don't like the absolute part, but whatever. And then the Eastern tradition was essence and energies. But whatever. I was just trying to explain it because I put it in at the end of Chad's video, and there was no way to get into. He only had 15 minutes, and to jump on, to have a conversation about that. Plus, I wasn't going to be able to do it justice even this morning, even if I had a whole hour talking about it. The level of
even a whole week of streaming. But I was just going to say that as far as I understand it, and I kind of understood it through Jacob, who was very excited about Father Stephen DeYoung being on Tucker Carlson. I suppose you all know that now, don't you?
Yeah, I didn't watch it yet. It seemed like the first thing, the beginning of it had to do with him going over the Nephilim and him making some clarifications that it doesn't always mean giants and stuff like that. That's
I just couldn't understand why Tucker was even. I mean, he didn't even introduce it properly. We're talking about this because we're concerned about that. I actually tried to watch it, and then I just returned to the live stream on Jacob's channel and had a chat with Yoav about the Dead Sea dying. But as far as I understand it, which I first understood through Jacob, the Filioque thing. The terminology, as I understand it, is the egalitarian Trinity, which is the Trinity Catholics and Protestants believe in, and then we have when the Eastern Orthodox believe in the monarchical Trinity, meaning Father is at the top, and that is really the real area of contention.
It's really hard.
It's like, how can the Father be equal to the Son? How?
I don't think I can clarify a couple of things that you said, only just because I'm not. I would want to get the terminology right, but I know that the way that my tradition sees the Trinity, that it's like all of them are wanting to give credit to the other one. So this equality in the Godhead is it's
co-eternal, co-substantial, and co-eternal.
Yeah, but exactly. There is no one over another. There is no he's the most important one of the Godhead, or You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like if we were, I'm just making an analogy. If they were all standing together, they'd be like, no, you're the best. No, you're the best. No, you're the best. You know what I mean? Like that's how I
Mhm.
kind of envision the way that they operate. And, but they have different roles, right? So, you know, the idea
Yes,
that
like the Holy Spirit, which is
exactly,
present in Judaism and Islam. So basically, the Holy Spirit is the agent of God, sent by God to, perform miracles and, do stuff for
it
God.
is interesting how people see these different categories because, like, you know, we were talking about the distinction between essence and energies. Um, like how do they see the whole? I think that if I had to guess, I think Judaism believes, yeah, I guess they have a Holy Spirit, but they just believe it's God's spirit, if I remember correctly. Because they're monotheists, and it's just like this is, you know, the whole Jesus thing isn't, unless they're messianic, that they don't see that as being a, you know, so it's you know, they don't, like when we say we're Trinitarian, they think it's a math thing, like it's all about numbers. You got three that you're worshiping. No, it's one essence, three persons, completely different, but
Mm.
yet the same substance. Well, no, they have a problem with that, you know. So like there's distinctions in how they see the Holy Spirit, how they see that, you know.
Yes, because they actually have a lot of anthropomorphic elements in the Torah. There's this description of Moses being so afraid he couldn't, he didn't dare look at God directly, and so it was only when God was moving away. That's a story anyway. That Moses peeked out through his fingers and saw God's back moving away. And I've seen some translations say it as God's backside, and having a good old giggle about that. But there were all these anthropomorphic elements in the Torah itself, and it was Maimonides who resolved them. And then look, yes, I know there are lots of anthropomorphic elements in the Torah, but we must not think of God as in any way physical or material. And then he came up with the 13 principles of Judaism. But he did get into trouble because his books were burned too by his fellow Jews.
Yeah, I was interested in asking you about that because I know that you have, and I can sympathize with this. I mean, just in terms of anthropomorphizing God, where we're trying to put human characteristics on God, but we have language, right? And the language is the best way that we communicate, right? And so when God uses illustrations like Father, Son, right hand, like you were just saying with the back of God, it's a way to communicate the point, but not the reality necessarily, you know. And I think
Yes.
that's the thing. It's just a way that he communicates with his creation on the creation's terms, you know.
Yes, so you can imagine, people, 5,000 years ago, and they're not, familiar with concepts like, abstract nouns and, ideas like anthropomorphism. So I guess in order to communicate with them, you have to say, God is angry, God is disappointed, and God is jealous, which is, well, it seems to suggest weakness, that God would be jealous, of you worshipping idols, that kind of thing. But I suppose in those times, it was the only way to express it.
If like look at a husband and wife, right? Using that language, you can be jealous of your wife's attention if she's spending all of her time at work, right? And it'd be kind of a good jealousy. It's not a jealousy that always has this other baggage of a negative connotation. It's like you can love someone so much that
you could call it righteous indignation and not jealousy. Like, well,
yeah,
this
but
is your
again,
duty. You're supposed to spend.
indignation has a bit of a connotation too, right?
Pause real
Yes.
quick. I don't think
Yeah,
Claire's
yeah,
going to be
go ahead.
jealous of her wife.
What?
I don't think Claire's going to be jealous of her wife.
No, I apologize. I was just, yeah, I should have used husband terms, I guess, but yeah. But you see what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, so it's something that you know, I know people with under the system of organized religion have you know argued and maybe even killed each other over the centuries about the correct way to conceive of God, and I guess the idea is that the more you think of him as, you know, dad, then you're not really getting the idea, because if you think of him as dad, you'll think of, well, he's got a wife, and mum is sometimes mean to dad and says rude things to dad, and blah 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 blah, and then they might have a rebellious son or you know, a disobedient daughter, etc. And then you stop thinking of God as being absolutely powerful, you know, so powerful that he's not like us at all, and he doesn't need a wife, and he never gets angry, but you know, because he knows he will never be disappointed, because he already knows what's going to happen, you know, kind of thing. So I guess Jews take on this very strict idea of God being nothing like we know. And some of them have suggested that, you know, maybe Christians don't follow the rules quite as much as they do, or obsess about them so much, is because, you know, they're not scared of Jesus, because he's, you know, dying on the cross, and he's not very scary, kind of thing. So that's one of the things I've heard them say. But yes, to you know, to not think of him as in any way physical would be more scary than thinking of him as, you know, some man.
All right,
I
so
think
we got a minute left before Chris. Anybody else we want to go around real quick and have some closing comments? Mr. Scott, what about you? You're good, Mr. Olson?
I liked the flow of this stream. We started talking about the divine simplicity and difference between Western and Eastern churches, and then we got into the real important stuff of life and debate, and talking about the toilet paper and bidets and the three shells, which we never have figured out what that is.
This is important stuff.
This is important stuff. And then Claire comes on and derails it with her, you know, talk of difference between the Trinity of Eastern and Western Orthodoxy.
But I will say this, that derailing.
Just kidding, Claire. That was a joke.
It is connected, because that was one of the big things that we're worried about with the divine simplicity, is that it did harm. You know, the accusation was it does harm to the Trinity. So, you know, she was right on point. All right, we're going over to Mr. Howard. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you coming on this morning. Miss Claire, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Matt C, it was good seeing you in the comments. Yeah. And then also Goldsby, I appreciate you also. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the comments on Chris Howard. Thank you guys.